Hello everybody, I'm Hazel. Welcome back to my channel all about ice cream. This is custard for ice cream, however it is still not my general custard recipe that I have been promising / threatening to make for you all. I'm probably going to just make that and put it in a short video with none of my usual talking, just because I don't know where it's going to come in. I know what the next few weeks have in store and not one of them is just generic custard. What I'm going to be doing today, because the thing for this week was something new. Now, the problem is I've tended to shoehorn anything I wanted to make into categories where I could. So I don't end up at this point of the year thinking, oh, I would have really loved to have tried that. Or I do sometimes, but they don't really fit into winter time of the year. So what I'm going to be doing, one, I'm actually going to be making more or less entirely historically accurate recipe from the books that I use. But I'm going to experiment with a tweak on it they had. So all of the recipes generally use cream. However, when it came to the custard, there was, although they don't seem to advise that you do it, an alternative for using half milk. In fact, let me find the exact parts. In case of necessity, you may use half milk and half cream by adding the yolks of 2 more eggs, but it is better with new cream and fewer eggs. And sometimes half milk and half cream are used when 2 or 3 extra eggs must be mixed in. All new cream and less eggs, however, make the best custard. So basically, you can do it. We wouldn't advise you do it. But I'm curious to see how it turns out and how it compares to the general custard. I suspect it's actually going to turn out a lot closer to what we would think of an ice cream today being, but I don't know. We shall see. I have actually pre-weighed some of these ingredients because there are 18 eggs used between these 2 ice creams. No one wants to watch me crack 18 eggs. So I've pre-weighed eggs. I've got a bowl that has 8 and I've got a bowl that has 10. I've also pre-weighed the sugar. Now the sugar is where it gets a little bit trickier to follow it entirely accurately, because one recipe used 6 ounces and one recipe used 8 ounces. I've split the difference and gone for 7 ounces. And because I want to do some fun maths on this, I've weighed out what that would be in grams. 198.42 grams exactly of caster sugar. I didn't weigh the egg yolks, which is, I'm kind of kicking myself a bit for now, but I can weigh them when I put them into the recipe. I'm going to start with just the cream, and you want a pint of it. And that is what I'm going to talk about today. Why a pint isn't a pint, and why it doesn't even matter. I've done it again. I meant to get everything out, but I didn't get myself out a little spoon. Get a little spoon. I've got a big one for when I want to test the custard, but not a little one. I'm trying to get it out of the drawer that the tripod is right in front of. Yeah, that'll do. It's not the one I wanted. So, pint. I'm not generally using volumetric measurements, but it's actually, oh no, it doesn't really matter too much, but oh no, it does matter because I do want to weigh it. A pint has been different values at different times in history. So if we go back to late 1500s, 1580, 87, 88, one of those two, Queen Elizabeth I brought in something called the Exchequer Order. Yes, Exchequer Order. Right, we have to try and crouch. Hang on, this is 250 millilitres. This can just get dumped in entirely. That one won't take up a pint. The Exchequer Order, which set out the value for, amongst many things, a pint. It actually set out the value for 2 pints. 2 pints, or at least 2 pint measurements. One of them was the ale pint, which was, I think, 578 millilitres or 568, no, 578 millilitres. And that was only used to measure ale. You didn't measure anything else in an ale pint. The other pint that it set out was the wine pint, or 477 millilitres in today's metric measurements. Now, some people will recognise, or may recognise, 477 millilitres as being the value of a pint that is used in America. That is because it was exported. Pretty much everything was measured in wine pints. The only thing that was measured in ale pint was ale. Let's pour this in. Oh, is this going to come out as more than 500? It is. These scales only weigh up to 500. So until I start getting close to the pint, I'm going to stand above it. Because I can't go above 500. What I can do is reset at 500, then add the two together. That seems like a good amount to just stop there. So a pint of whipping cream is 469.1 plus whatever comes next. Let me set that to 0. Where did we got up to? Wine pints were exported because everything was measured using the wine pints. And by the time we were changing it in the UK, America was now separate from us. We didn't change to the imperial measurements until 1826, I believe that act came in. Which means pints after 1826, there's only been one measurement of a pint, and it is 568 millilitres. So actually much closer to the far less used ale pint. And now where I need to kneel to get onto the pint amount. Now what that means, because of the era that the books I'm using were written in, is some of them would have meant the old wine pint value, and some of them would have meant the new imperial pint value. However, they don't actually seem to account for this anywhere. 126.19, I'll add that up in a bit. So that is a pint of cream. And then, where did I put my saucepans? That's where I put my saucepans. Oh, I do want my scales back because I need to measure my eggs. So none of the recipes seem to actually take into account that there is now a difference in the value of a pint. And the reason for that is it doesn't actually matter. So I will actually probably show you the maths that I do on these recipes to work out how I want to modify them. But when I did it using the old value and the new value of a pint, it made about 1% difference in the fat. I think it did make it slightly less sweet. It would have been sweeter under the old value of a pint, but it made no measurable difference. And I will tell you from experience of trying to perfect ice cream, no one can tell the difference in 1% fat. People think they can, and they think they favour the ice cream that has higher fat, but actually there is no consistency whatsoever. It makes no difference at all. So that is the cream. Get one of the sugars over. Remember, the sugars are exactly 7 ounces. Anyway, you didn't want to knock that. These scales are so sensitive. I say that and then I bang it with the sugar bowl. And I then want the eggs that are 6. It's that one, not 6, 8. So this is where I do want to measure it because I want to know what 8 egg yolks measured. One of them did split, so I just need to scrape it. The other one, actually, my bowl of 10 egg yolks, not a single one split. So yes, no one can tell the difference between a percentage difference in the fat content of an ice cream. It just isn't detectable. So use whatever pint you have available. It makes 0 difference. There we go. So that is egg in there. And then just form it into a custard. So how much is that? That is 125.04. 125.04. Outside. Take off the cap lock. And just whisk that until it forms a custard. And it's the general custard, back of a spoon. When it coats the back of a spoon, your custard is ready. Now, these recipes are going to come out a little bit fatty for modern tastes. If people think we have a high fat and high sugar diet now, they should try some of these authentic recipes. But I made thoroughly authentic plain cream ice cream. Not nice to modern tastes. Thoroughly authentic custard is fine. I actually think to a modern taste, the one that does use the half milk, the one they all look down on, is potentially going to be nicer, or at least more what we're used to. But we'll see. I did consider flavour in this as well, and that would have given me a nice opportunity to talk about vanilla. I really want to talk about vanilla. Vanilla's really interesting. But if I'm going to be comparing taste, I didn't want another taste to be making that more awkward, because then I wouldn't know if just the vanilla was masking anything. So that will go extremely yellow. This is the thing about nice fresh eggs. They do tend to come out very, very yellow. I get my eggs from the same place my family do, and they said they once had a box that was entirely double yolk eggs. I have never seen a double yolk egg in my life. As far as I'm concerned, they're mythical. You can, though, buy boxes that promise they're all double yolk. I don't know how, I'm assuming they scan them in some way. I don't know how they tell otherwise. It feels like it's getting quite thick. And the custards don't take that long to form. See, we've got a line. Small whisk more as I go and find the container to put them in. And a bit like the recipe of last week, they both say strain it before chilling it. So we'll do that, because let's follow it entirely. I have 2 sieves over here. Now I might end up just doing this off screen because I don't really want to strain it on the hob. There we go. So put that through the sieve. You were also supposed to include a lemon rind in this. I'll be blunt, I forgot to pick up lemon, so we're not doing that. So there we have 1 container of the fully cream custard. Find my blue lid for that one. Put that into the fridge. I'm running out of room in the fridge. This is what happens as you get closer to Christmas. I like to do my Christmas preparations in bits. And then lock that for now. How warm is it? Do I want to go put in a stain on that? Possibly not. So what I now need to measure is, if I do it over there, is that still in screen? Just about. What I now need to measure is half milk, half cream. Now the milk I got is Jersey milk. It's slightly fattier than whole milk. So whole milk is around about 3.8 to 4%. This is 4.8% fat. And the likelihood is that milk would have been a bit fattier at the time. Just let me focus over there. Now, that's in grams. So I think I'll do the milk first. Now, it's not necessarily going to come out to the same weight as a pint of cream. And this is why I don't use volume measurements. It's much better if you know what everything is in grams, because the milk will have a slightly different density to the cream. It shouldn't, though, go above 500, so I don't need to do resetting. I can already tell I have spilt that. We're getting close to the half pint. As to why milk wasn't used more in their recipes, I don't honestly know. I would imagine snobbery comes into it. Ice cream wasn't for poor people. You paid for the finest of ingredients, including the finest cream. Now, what's that? 320, I've got milk on my screen. 324.54. So half milk, 324.54 grams. And then cream again. Reset that. I wouldn't even turn off rather than reset. I mean, it has the same effect. I'm going to end up using slightly more than what I had left over. That's mildly annoying. Means I open up another pot of cream for not really much. Let's not open this one fully though. Getting close. And that's on the pint. So that half a pint of cream was only 287.68 grams. Half cream, 287.68 grams. And then other saucepan. May as well bring the sugar over as well whilst I'm here. Just put the cream back in to the fridge. I actually accidentally left the cream in my car overnight. However, it's been so cold here, it was below minus, it had half frozen. So I'm not particularly worried that anything happened to it. Right, back over there. Let me give that a wipe because that's going to bother me getting that on my hands and my hob. My hob's going to fizzle as I turn it on. So I can get cleaned off in a minute. So remember, we are adding 2 extra eggs. One of them said 2 to 3, but it also said use 7 to 8 in the first place. Because I used 8, I'll add 2. So, half milk, half cream. And then 7 ounces of sugar. Let's knock this bowl instead rather than the saucepan. And then to weigh out 10 egg yolks, none of which split. So they shouldn't need scraping, they should go fairly smoothly. They do. That was quite satisfying. And they are 153 point, it's not quite settled yet, it's going to be 10 egg yolks, 153.61 they've settled on. And then just repeat the same. Make that into a custard, turn off the cap lock. And make that into a custard. Remember, it doesn't take too long to form it into a custard ready for ice cream. Just make sure you break down the eggs. This is the one benefit if they do split in the separation process, at least you know they're going to break down in the custard. I've got to keep kind of stabbing it through every now and then. So there was a quite famous author of ice cream recipes. She was around a little bit after the ones I tend to use, called Agnes Marshall. She was known as the Queen of Ice Cream. Or no, the Queen of Ices? Or Queen of Ice Cream. It's the similar sort of effect. It was one of those two. She used milk all the time. So she was writing about 15, 20 years, not that long after the last of the authors that I tend to use were writing. And she does use milk a fair bit. So it seems that my ones are maybe particularly old-fashioned even for the time. But they tend to work really nicely. You just have to use the right ratios. So that's frothing quite a lot because there's a little bit more protein coming through in the extra egg yolks. I haven't made a custard yet. Yep. Just do that whilst I get the jug down. And I'll be putting the half milk, half cream into a yellow lidded jug. I'm saying this now so that when I get confused tomorrow and can't remember which one was which, I can just look back at these videos and tell you. Put that through the sieve. I think I'm very much in the way of the camera. I apologise. This workshop wasn't really meant to be having so much going on all at once. Some of it splashed out. That used to happen all the time. It wasn't that long ago I got my saucepans with the pouring spouts. Turn that off. That also needs to find some room in the fridge. I don't really know where I'm going to find room for that one. Oh, door. Let's put it in the door. There we go. And they'll chill down overnight, and we'll come back tomorrow, churn them, and then after that taste them, see if I can tell you what differences they have. I'm just re-whisking prior to adding the mixtures to the ice cream machine. I've decided I'm going to be doing this in the same order that I made the ice creams in, so I'm starting with the cream-only base. And I've had the ice cream machine pre-chilling for a few minutes. The nice thing about this ice cream machine is because it has a compressor, I'll just pour this in, concentrating that I don't throw it all over the place. Oh, I've got a little bit on the paddle, never mind. I do try to avoid that when I do the swirling pour, but it happens sometimes. The nice thing about having this machine with a compressor base, with a compressor in it, is it does mean I can churn multiple ice creams consecutively without having to wait for a bowl to refreeze itself. I don't often use that feature. There's not often that I make more than one, maybe two at a push ice creams in a row, but it's a nice feature to have. That went in at more or less exactly 55 minutes left on the timer. Generally, I've found custards take a little bit quicker to churn, so hopefully we'll be back before too long to get it out and into a pot. That actually took a lot longer than usual, so either my memory is going a little bit on which ones are quicker, or this was a bit of an odd one. But we have lots of thick custard made with a full cream. And that there. So I did actually have quite a lot of mixture this time because I was making the full pint measurements as outlined in the recipe. It was 8 eggs, wasn't it? And I usually make 800 grams, which by my calculations does end up using 8 eggs, so it can't have been that much different. Never mind. It could just be something as simple as I've got the central heating on, which will make the entire room conditions a bit warmer. Just getting as much off the paddles as I can. It's not always easy to get ice cream off of the ice cream paddles. Some people are very good at it. I'm not one of them. Dexterity has never been my strongest skill. Nearly lost the ice cream bowl down the sink. That would not have been nice. Remember, as much as possible, you do want to fill the entire container. If you don't, you can put a bit of parchment paper on top of it. It's easier just to fill the thing. Change a little bit more in there. I had to create room in my freezer for these ice creams. And what I've done is I've taken out a few that I made a couple of months ago and turned them into milkshakes, which is always a nice way to use up ice cream that you've not eaten as ice cream. Maybe I shouldn't have put a bit extra in there. That is really nice. I've got a colleague who refers to this as vanilla ice cream. I've told him many, many times there is no vanilla in it. It is plain, but he still says it has a vanilla taste. It does have a very nice, rich custard taste to it. I think if I were asked, I probably would slightly favour custard bases to plain cream ones. It depends on flavour, obviously. But as a general rule, I think the custard ones do just taste that little bit richer. Very nice. Where did the lid go for this? There it is. I've pre-written the lids. This one is called Custard Full Cream. I just need to wipe off the pot. There's going to be a brief pause whilst I just clean the churning pot as well. And then I'll get straight on to churning the half cream, half milk version. And after the short break as promised, I'm just going to start whisking the half milk, half cream mixture. But before I do that, I just want to show you what's happened to it. I'll tell if that's coming into focus. I don't think it is. Let me try and refocus that. There we are. I think it shows up. That has separated, which happened in the sheep milk ice cream, I believe. And as I said then, it's not a major problem if the mixture separates. You just whisk it and recombine it. I just thought it was interesting that this is the one that separated. Separation usually occurs when there's too much fat. And I would have thought this would be the lower fat one. I've not run the numbers on it yet. I've got the numbers and I'm planning to put them through my spreadsheet just to see what they come out as. But I would have just assumed this would be the lower fat mixture. But maybe it isn't. Just needs a bit more of a re-whisk, this one, just to make sure it does combine back together. As the last one was really a very cursory whisk. That's done that. And put it into the machine. Swirl roll once again. It does feel a bit thinner as I'm pouring it. There's an extra to smoke. Change it back. Just taste that again. That was odd. The taste of the dairy comes through more, which is very strange. It's got a lot less dairy, well, a lot less fat from dairy in it. I'm curious to see how this is going to come out. I will taste it when it finishes churning. But I'm very, very curious to see how this compares to the full cream one once they've churned and fully frozen. I don't know if it's going to go the way that the original authors said. Just based on tasting the mixtures, I actually prefer that one. But we shall see. So I think it's just about become time to take out the half milk, half cream ice cream. Where's my other pot? Where are all my skippy things? There's my skippy things. Oh, I think I've frozen my pot in there. No, I've actually frozen the entire thing in there. I've never done that before. How am I going to fix this? I didn't even churn for an excessive time. Okay, this is new. There we go. Oh, now it's covering my hands. I hate having sticky hands. Right, this isn't going well. It'll be fine. It will be fine. I can wipe down a pot. I can wipe my hand. I'll certainly say this for the half milk, half cream as it churns. It has churned a lot icier. And I'd be quite surprised if that didn't come out in the final ice cream. And that's probably why the half cream, not the half cream, this is the half cream, the full cream version is considered better. I need to wipe that with my hand. It's going to wind me up otherwise. That's better. It does feel very light though as I'm scooping it. So as I say, I am very interested to see how this comes out. This pot that I'm using, by the way, is my penultimate pot. So I'm going to have one for next week, and then I'm going to run out 2 weeks shy of the end of the year. Except, hang on, am I? I've got one for next week, and I know what's coming next week. That needs a pot. I also know what's coming the week after that, and that's actually not even an ice cream. So I don't need a pot for that one. And then if I go with my current plan for the last week of the year, it will make more sense when you see it. I don't have enough of the key ingredient to make an entire portion, so it's going to be a mini portion, which will be 2 little ice cream for these pots. I have enough pots. Just get that a wipe. That actually timed out perfectly then. So when I was annoyed that I wasn't going to have enough pots to do the finish off the year, I was going to have to buy another 20 pots to get 2 extras. That's not true. Excellent. That has cheered me up. That there. Show you that's the pot. That's the lid of that one. Custard, half cream, and then that can go in the freezer. And either tomorrow or possibly the day after, because tomorrow's quite a busy day, I shall taste them and see what we think of full cream versus half cream, half milk. It's now time to taste the custards made with the full cream one and the half cream one. I decided not to do a blind taste test on this because I would have to be literally blind to not know the difference. One of them is much, much more orange. And for reasons that will become clear in a little bit, I think this is the most exciting week of all. But I'm going to taste them first because my excitement might be misguided. So starting with the full cream, this is so soft. And it's so creamy. This is like ice cream that you get when you're on holiday in the countryside. That is delicious. My apologies if that reference doesn't translate across countries. And then we have the half cream one, which is much more orange, but basically the same texture. And for obvious reasons, it's not as creamy, but still extremely creamy. So I can actually see why my colleague says they're vanilla ice cream, because they're not, but I do know where he's coming from. They do have that kind of vanilla taste to them. Now, as for the reason why this is so exciting, I'm going to at least attempt to show you the spreadsheets and the calculations I ran on these ice creams. And this is now going to look really stupid if I can't do it, but I'm pretty sure I can. So what you can see now is the spreadsheet of the full cream ice cream. And I think it turned out that that was about 30% fat in total, of which about 25% was butterfat. This is not the interesting one. Those values are too high, really, for modern tastes. They're just nice to see what they are. So modern tastes of ice cream tend to cap out at around about 20 to 22% butterfat in just a cream ice cream, and about 14 to 15 in a custard base ice cream. So I took these measurements and modified them when I started making my custard base. So what you now will hopefully see is my modified custard base, which took it down to about 18.5% total fat and just shy of 14% on the butterfat. Now the exciting part. This is the spreadsheet of the half milk, half cream custard base made to the book's recipe. It is more or less identical. So I've said all along that I am not here making 100% historically accurate ice cream. I'm happy to modify it and change things where I think that will suit the flavour and the taste better, which is why I brought down the cream or the butterfat value using different mixtures of different creams. I did that because I at least like to pay homage to the original recipe. So if the original recipe only uses cream, I'll only use cream. This, though, means I can use half milk, half cream, follow a completely historically accurate recipe, and have the exact same result, which is probably going to change my ice cream completely, or at least my custard-based ice cream. My plain ice creams, at no point did they use anything other than proper full cream. They never incorporated milk into the cream-based ice creams. But the custard ones, I can now go historically accurate with half milk, half cream, and it's the same. I have a lot of calculations to run. Take that, my friend who says that maths has no place in hobbies. I don't think you can really enjoy something until you understand it and see why it works. And this is how I found this out. So this means something that I thought I'll just do once and go back to my full cream will probably change my ice creams. I have some exciting weeks ahead to get this all sorted out. I'm probably not going to apply it to next week though, because I've kind of figured out next week's recipe. I know what's coming. I really hope it works, because if it does, it's one of my favourite ice creams, or has the potential to be one of my favourite ice creams, which I will hopefully see you back here for.